I don't know why this does this. I set up a new. For those of you who know how anything works, this doesn't. This doesn't work like it's supposed to work. I'm starting again. Welcome to the live stream. I am your host, Kevin Williams, your Kevinly father. And it looks like we actually are broadcasting this time. Sometimes when I switch between the scenes, it just shuts down all the volumes. And I don't know why. And sometimes when I switch between the scenes and it shouldn't have volume, it does give me volume. So I don't know if I need a update or something, but that is the way it sometimes works. This is on the fly, people, and my producers absolutely refuse to show up at the studio here at the Outhouse Studios and help me with this. So they're all working remotely, and by working remotely, I mean drinking. Speaking of drinking, the drinking words today on the live stream are vaccine or science. Vaccine or science or any derivative thereof. So if you're on the East Coast, it's already happy hour. If you're in Hawaii, it is coming up on the morning. Good time to drink. And if you're in Australia, it is Passover, as I understand it. So get out your Manischewitz. Hi, Noel. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Chris. Hey, 0766. Everybody else. Some of you may have seen the absolutely wonderful version of our logo done by Chris Wilson. Came up with it completely unsolicited, which is bad. If it's unsolicited, it's terrible. If it was something that I went through a process and signed up for, and then he sent it to me, that's okay. But this was completely unsolicited and therefore rife with fraud. There it is. The unsolicited logo. And that's dangerous. Because why? Because Chris Wilson hates democracy. Fact! Hey, Andy. Good to see you. Andy, it's definitely drinking time for Andy. Andy is somewhere off in Europe. I'm going to say Belgium, Slovakia, some Costa Croatia, somewhere out there. Last night, if you were watching, we had some fun. And at random, I don't know if she's in here or not, at random was saying, well, I heard, that's her voice, well, I heard that the deaths are on the way up. And I said, maybe. I know the cases are on their way up, and usually deaths are a lagging indicator. Well, no, cases are a lagging indicating of the end. You're inferring. A huge BuzzFeed story is dropping on Sunday, says David. Okay, cool. Is it about Snoops? So I wanted to say that at random was right. Both cases and deaths are on the uptick week over week. CNN covered that a couple of hours ago, and I wanted to share that with you guys so that everybody knows that at random was indeed correct. She sent me an ABC article confirming the same. Here's CNN talking about it. Oh, hold on. David's saying it might be about this. The story on Sunday might be about Trump and Deutsche Bank, and if that is true, if we have definitive truth that Trump owes all this money to Deutsche Bank and it was all leveraged incorrectly and illegally through bank fraud vis-a-vis tax fraud at the same time, and if in fact the SDNY or New York State is moving further with prosecution on that fact, that changes nothing. Nobody cares. I mean, one side cares, but they're going to be voting for Biden anyway, or anyone. I mean, honestly, if Biden dies 3 days before the election, fine. Just write it in. Jill Biden, it's almost the same. We won't even have to change the first letter on the ballots. No, I don't think people will care. People will care, but the voters for Trump, we've learned now. We know this by now. Okay, let's... oh, you know what? Maybe BuzzFeed finally has the P tapes. That, believe it or not, if the P tapes turn out to be real, if somebody says, here's the PHS, that could change some votes. Because remember how long he's been denying. Although, you know, it's fake, deep fake. It's a deep fake. It's a deep state with a deep fake. It never happened. But if you could get like one of the Russian hookers to come out, and then she'd get $130,000. David says, if someone turned up a personal check from Putin to Trump supporters would say, good, money from Russia. Yeah, that's true. We never got 10 cents from Russia. Here's CNN.
Spread that you're seeing there.
Nope, it's not CNN. I couldn't hear that. I think you guys could. Again, sometimes this thing just resets on me because I don't set it properly. Here we go.
Shows the difference from just Monday. 30 states are now seeing an uptick, with 7 of them showing a jump of 50% or more new cases compared to last week. Also, for the first time this week, the new infections reported in a single day exceeded 40,000, with 870 deaths. CNN's Tom Foreman is here with more on how the pandemic is impacting the country. Tell us, Tom, what you're learning.
If you look, Brianna, at the 7-day moving average, you can see in this graphic how it had been going generally down. That trend has once again reversed, and it is moving up to around, just on the doorstep of 4.
We talked about this yesterday. The cases are on their way up, and they have been for over a week now.
40,000 new cases a day. That is a 13% increase of where we were just a week ago. And it's not just new cases. If you look at the number of deaths, you can see the same trend. It was headed down. Now it's turning back up. We're now at 838 new deaths per day from the COVID virus. And it's not limited to one area. Look at this graphic that shows you the trend lines across the country. That blue one there, that's high over there on the left side of the screen, that was the north.
This is cases, by the way, this graph. These are the different areas of the country by case, not deaths.
That was when New York was just soaring in infections and deaths. And you see they brought it way down. But everywhere else, look what's happened. Upturn, 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 even though they tried to bring it down for a while. The orange one on top, that's the South. That would include Texas, which now has become the second state to cross the 700,000 case line in this. So none of these trend lines look good. And one
is that I'm not good with math. I was a theater major. Is 700,000, is that close to zero?
Thing I really want you to notice here is Wisconsin. Look at what happened in Wisconsin with the number of cases that have been happening up there in Wisconsin. Yesterday, they hit the highest number that they've had so far. Yesterday, they produced the highest number of cases, even as the president was at a rally there saying, look, we're doing amazing things with vaccines and therapeutics. And he specifically said, people just won't believe the numbers. It's not what he meant, Brianna, but look at these numbers.
No one ever knows what he means. We can't say that he meant something or didn't mean something. It's just, who knows? They're just random words thrown together. Hey, for those of you just joining us, we're just waiting on the president, and we will be fact-checking him in real time when he gets going. He's almost always late, unless he wants to get back to Washington. So sometimes his rallies will actually start on time. But most of the time, what he does always starts late. The only time I've ever seen him start early at the White House is when he's with another foreign leader that he doesn't care for. So, you know how they do those, oh, I'm with the president of so-and-so? I've noticed that if the thing starts right on time, it's because he's not the friend. He doesn't talk about what a great relationship that we have with Bibi Netanyahu. Or, I mean, if it was Sensei Fox, he would be like, okay, well, we're on time, we're out of here, okay? No time for questions, sorry, we're very busy. President Fox has to get back to Mexico. And Fox would be like, no, I'm fine, I don't have to go anywhere, because he's using a French accent today. And that would be that. I almost started to do a Mexican accent, and then I was like, nope, someone's going to pluck that and call me a racist. Although Vicente Fox, he looks pretty white. I don't know. Again, I got a lot of Mexican friends who, well, honestly, I was going to say are as white as I am, but come on, people. Let me show. No, I'm not going to. It was so hot in here yesterday, I honestly thought about, like, no one's going to care if I just take my shirt off. No one's going to care. Be the first time in forever anyone would pay attention to my nipple. Moving on. Let's go see what the Presidente is up to. Oh, Nancy Pelosi is speaking, but that was from Thursday. How are you guys? How are you guys doing? Everybody good? Nobody's got corona? If you want to join the chat room over there, you certainly can. The best place to do it is at youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. You can also do it from Twitch if you want to swear. There are no censors on Twitch. So if you want to say bad words, I don't know why I didn't want to swear right now. Like, who the fuck cares? But I didn't want to because this is a family show. There, see? Lizzie is over on the Twitch. If you want to join that chat room, all you have to do is chat on whatever platform you're in, be it Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. It will show up over there. Do not try and click on that and chat. That doesn't work. What a lot of people do is they watch this on their computer or their big TV. You can put it on your big TV if you've got the YouTube app on your smart TV, on Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, whatever. And then you can still chat by having your phone and watching it on your phone and your TV at the same time. That's what some of the peoples do. Let's see. Nicole says, weird day. New gallon of laundry detergent spilled all over the carpet after falling off the dryer. Same. Exactly. Everybody? Did that happen to everybody today? I'm almost 50, and sometimes I still swallow the wrong way. I feel like it's getting more frequent. And I know, scientifically, it's supposed to. As we get older, we forget how to swallow. Which is why so many people end up getting divorced. Do not read anything. I'm in love with Chris. Look at that's what I should do. Is I should just leave that up there. There we go. And then people will be tuning in, and going like, "Who is this? Who is this guy?" And then there'll be a search. They'll be trying to get my PayPal. They'll be trying to out me. They'll be doxing me. They'll be like, "Oh, he hides behind an avatar. Oh, liberal cuck hides behind his little painted avatar. Everyone knows his name is Charlie." Happy Friday, Kim. Checking in again. They have not started there with the President Trumpage. Let's move on to something else here. What did I want to show you guys? There was something else I wanted to show you guys. What was it? Well, let's just check out Fox and Friends from this morning. And we'll see who they had at the end.
ADT.
I know. I just realized what it was. Believe it or not, the president, our Presidente, was on Judge Janine this Saturday with a new interview. I noticed it, but just assumed it was an old interview. And I watched about a minute of it, and I was like, oh, no, he said all this stuff before. And it wasn't. It was new stuff. So let's go check that out. I don't think it was very long either. But while we're waiting... No, this is what I have to do.
We protect.
A smile has the power.
I'm a liberal tears cuck, is what I am. Okay, Judge Janine. Did I call her Judge Judy? I always do. And you know what? I don't care. God, she will be the next nominee. If Trump gets a second term, she's going to be on the Supreme Court, folks. Let's see here. Yeah, there he is right there. Yeah, let's give it a look-see.
How does it end?
We're not there yet.
Let's see what she says.
Of interview with President.
Okay.
As anarchy and violence continue to burn many of our beloved cities to the ground, I was left with...
To the ground. No, the forest fires are burning our cities to the ground. Literally. There are cities in Oregon and Washington State that are now gone. 80 to 100% of the buildings gone. Have the riots burned down any cities to the ground? No, that has not happened. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But as long as she's not trying to cause panic, I appreciate that.
One critical question for the president. How does it end?
I resign. I get on a helicopter and I do the thing, and I get on very slowly because the helicopter a lot of times is very slippery.
We're not there yet, but you have people that are very angry. You start seeing them, the trucks come in and this comes in and that. All of a sudden, you're going to see a back.
Wow. This received no coverage whatsoever that I saw in the media. I think he's about to say that his people are going to come in and they're going to end it in the pickup trucks and the paintball guns. And some of them are going to end up getting killed when they threaten another protester and he acts out in self-defense. No one else is talking about that, but yeah, the guy was about to get maced and it happened so quickly. We can watch that video sometime. But basically, the guy who shot the Trump supporter in Portland, which is a tragedy and it shouldn't have happened and people shouldn't be carrying around handguns, etc., he felt like his life was threatened. And that'll be the end of that. We'll never hear the end of that story. It'll never go to court because the U.S. Marshals went and found the guy and killed him. Jack Ruby, anybody?
Backlash, the likes of which you haven't seen in many, many years, because people aren't going to take it. You know, a lot of people...
Yeah, he's saying that his supporters are going to backlash. The likes of which you've never seen in many, many years. And I'm not sure when the Civil War with the South, is that what he's saying?
This is all a left movement, not a right movement.
Right.
But a lot of people on the right are sitting home watching a television set, looking at Kenosha and looking at Chicago, where they shoot people and kill people by the dozen.
No, the people sitting at home watching Chicago are like, it's just a bunch of black people. Black on black crime.
Dozens every week.
And they're not sitting at home. They're out in restaurants, crowded restaurants, or at Trump rallies.
Right. It's not even believable. But they look at it and they say, I'm not going to allow that to happen in my country.
Two questions. Nobel Peace Prize, congratulations, you've been nominated.
Not a question.
For something very significant, the peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, other Arab countries to follow. I was researching Barack Obama in 2009 when he got the Peace Prize. Nobody could point to anything he had done. He didn't even have time to do anything.
Still not a question.
He did very little in 8.
Nope, there's no questions in there. None of that is a question. Those are all statements. Trump's going to answer that. I want to hear what he says, but I also, believe it or not, want to turn off the AC. I turned it on just briefly, and now this room is frozen, which is... I don't know what's happening. Alexa, what's the temperature? I can't hear. I don't know if she's saying anything. I'll be right back. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Hold on. I gotta get some hold music. I know you guys are huge fans of the piano music, lulling you to sleep. She did say something very weird. She didn't say Nobel Peace Prize. She said, should we listen? I don't care.
And much of what he's done, as you know, I've terminated. I got rid of the individual mandate, which knocked out Obamacare. We took out the individual mandate.
Did not knock out Obamacare. I'm literally on Obamacare right now.
Which is the single most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. It was a disaster. But that essentially gutted Obamacare. Most of the things, many of the things he did.
So, same guy who says we had a choice. We could handle Obamacare very well, or we could handle it terribly and let it be terrible. Oh, and we also gutted Obamacare. He bragged about how awesome a job he's done with Obamacare, and we've gutted it.
We've taken out. One of the things we're doing right now, I just got a report, 311 miles of wall. That has made such an unbelievable difference on our southern border. We're doing so well.
Oh, crap. He's on. Hold on. Here we go. Let's go live. Thank you. I think he just started. And it's not even... Wait. Oh, no. Sorry. Sorry.
And like different foods.
Hold
so
on.
you're planning.
He's not on. That C-SPAN is doing a replay of the other day. Let's go back to Judge Judy. And and I know she's Janine. Let's see if it'll let me play it again. Resume watching. No, we got to find it again. Sorry, kids. I saw him up on the other screen. Usually somebody warns me in the room. Yeah, no, the reporters are sitting down, but they're not actually... doesn't look like anyone else has come into the room yet. And typically his advisors come into the room first. They sit down. Kelly Macaroni, etc. Let's see if we can resume from our last play.
Well, with that
You think
and
you'll get the
immigration.
Peace Prize?
I don't know. Look, I've done a job. We signed a transaction. It's actually going to be this.
Is it National Cheeseburger Day? Because I tweeted about cheeseburgers this morning. How do I know these things? Something else happened yesterday, or something else just came out today that I've been saying for months. And sometimes I'm wrong. But like most of the time, I'm wrong. Especially if there's a woman listening.
Ceremony is taking place next week. I hope you can come. And it's going to be UAE.
Said Trump to every woman ever.
Highly respected, the leader, Mohammed, highly that
You think
and
you'll get the
immigration.
Peace Prize?
I don't know. Look, I've done a job. We signed a transaction. It's actually going to be, the ceremony is taking place next week. I hope you can come. And it's going to be UAE, highly respected, the leader, Mohammed, highly respected, and Israel is signing. This is the first time in many, many decades that anything like this has happened. I can tell you that other countries are going to be signing onto it. We're going to sign a lot of countries in the Middle East. You might have peace in the Middle East going a much different route. The biggest thing that impeded us was that horrible deal that Obama made with Iran. It was the worst deal. Paid him $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. How do you approve? That's when I realized the presidency is very powerful. When you can approve $1.8 billion in cash, big plane loads of cash going to people that they have no idea who it is. So they did a terrible job, and we're doing a great job. I think we can say that with great security.
Last question. Debates.
I can say that with great security. Can you? I'd prefer if you said it strongly, but great security will help.
2 weeks. You're not doing the traditional prep where somebody
Did he say Mohammed bin Salman? Yeah.
stands in where Joe Biden does. How do you think he's going to do?
I think I'll do it the same way I did it last time, basically. It's, sometimes like Romney was so bad on the...
Yeah, Chris is correct. We didn't pay Iran. We gave them back their money that they gave us in the 70s.
Debates. And he studied for 3 weeks. He locked himself in a cabin. He was so crammed full of information.
Wait, who locked himself in a cabin? What are we talking about?
Joe Biden does. How do you think he's going to do?
I think I'll do it the same way I did it last time, basically. It's, sometimes like Romney was so bad on the debates, and he studied for 3 weeks. He locked himself in a cabin. He was so...
In a carabin? He should have locked himself into a basement. That seems very effective. I've been watching Joe Biden, and he's doing great out there.
Crammed full of information.
He couldn't get it out.
When they asked...
By the way, here's the thing, Joe Biden, or Joe Biden's people, if you're watching. First off, get rid of this TJ Ducklo character. He's terrible. It's terrible. I haven't seen him since that one day that everybody's like, who the hell is this asshole? Sorry, TJ, but on TV, you're an asshole. Like me. I mean, take it from me. Biden, if you're going to be speaking to firefighters, even if you're farther than 6 feet away and it's outside, go ahead and wear that mask. Get that mask on there, because it was all over Fox today, and it will continue to be in right-wing circles, and there'll be ads. Joe Biden is a hypocrite, because he's talking to these firefighters. And of course, lenses will distort the distance between you and some other person. And even last night, the Trump train, or whatever the hell the Twitter page is, was talking. There was a scene at the end, cutting to commercial, where Anderson kind of leans over to do something, and Joe Biden is walking past him, and they're like, oh, and then he whispered something to Anderson Cooper without a mask. Anderson and Biden would have both been tested before that town hall yesterday.
Him a question, he couldn't speak. Okay, he should have won that race so easily. But you were dealing with a failed president, because his first 4 years were a total failure. Obama.
Well, here's the thing, though. You judge a president by whether he gets reelected or not. So that's his job when he gets towards the second term, is to get reelected. So if he chooses, Obama got overwhelmingly elected. More people voted for him. So I mean, that's then in 2008. So if you're going to judge how a president's done.
But so, you know, you have to be loose and you have to be able to do it. And the debates worked out well for me. Debates have worked out well for me. I don't know what's going to show up with Biden. I mean, I see different guys. I see a Biden that really tied Bernie. You know, everyone thought he was going to be killed by Bernie, and it was a tie. It was nothing. It wasn't Winston Churchill, but it was fine. But I've also seen him in some of the other debates where he wasn't even coherent. He couldn't utter. I mean,
How do you think he goes from incoherent to coherent?
I think.
Yeah, but because he didn't, he was always coherent.
There's probably, possibly drugs involved. That's what I hear. I mean, there's possibly drugs. I don't know how you can go from being so bad where you can't even get out a sentence. I mean, you saw some of those debates with the large number of people on the stage. He was, I mean, I used to say, how is it possible that he can even go forward? And he only won because Elizabeth Warren didn't drop out. Had she dropped out, Bernie would have won super.
Also, he got a lot of votes, specifically in South Carolina, where he dominated with the African American population, and that is the backbone of the Democratic Party. Duh.
Tuesday, every state, and you would have had Bernie instead of Biden.
I mean, it would be like Trump saying, like, yeah, but if, you know what, if the uneducated whites didn't vote for me, I would still win. No. This is why you're the nominee. You couldn't even win 50% of Republicans.
Biden.
All right.
But I like it the way it is.
Sure you do. I appreciate your time, Mr. President. Thank you so much. I
Your
know
show
how
is
precious
great.
it is.
Well,
That's it.
Your show is great. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
All right.
My thanks to President Trump and his staff at the White
That's that. Still nothing from Trump. He's super late. Now 40 minutes behind schedule. Let's see if I can show you guys that. Is that accurate? Sometimes you guys like to keep track. Let's not move that of the thumbs up. Let's check the scoreboard right now. Okay, if I do this, does that help us? Where is it? Where is it, guys? Oh, this is exciting. What's the score? Oh, there it is. There it is. It moves every time. Every time YouTube somehow moves it, and I don't know how that works. But here it is. There you go. We'll do that, and we'll do that, and we'll put it up there. There you go. Oh, look at that. Somebody put 10, and now I got to adjust it again. So thanks a hell of a lot, whoever just plus up that. Now I got to adjust it. I thought I was done. But sure, make my life more difficult by voting for me. I appreciate it. That's what every president eventually figures out in office. Someone was saying, was it Blinker, that there's long lines in Virginia? That's fantastic. Early voting is now happening in this country, and apparently there are lines. Minnesota, I think, too. Kevin, thoughts on the mail-in ballots getting returned to sender by USPS sorting machines? Well, if they're being returned to sender, are they being returned to the voter, or are they being returned? Because I haven't seen this story. Or are they being returned to? I could vote for myself to the elections office. I could vote for myself because I live in California, so my vote for president doesn't matter. I am, however, ineligible to be president because I have most of my brain cells, and we got rid of that requirement in 2016. In fact, it is now a detriment, apparently, to the American public. And no one is covering it yet. You voted already, Lizzie? Oh, Oregon already has their ballots, huh? I have not seen a ballot yet in California, and Kevin Lee Daughter's in a strange situation because as soon as we moved back down here in July or whenever it was, we sent in registration. Now, she doesn't have a California ID. So she's got a learner's permit, and that's not good enough, I guess, for the election system. So she didn't put her learner's permit on there because she didn't think it was a real license or something. So she sent it in, and it got sent back with an affidavit, please sign here, saying that it's you. And she did. However, we had already registered at the previous address, and they didn't tag social security number, birth date, etc. Like maybe this is the same person. So now... and the weird thing is that the other address, she's listed as inactive. And probably because I contacted California after we left and said, hey, we're not registered there anymore, when I registered in Seattle when we moved away in June or July or May or whenever it was. So anyway, we've got to take care of that. So guys, remind me. Oh, here we go. What do we got here?
In Chief discusses destruction in Democrat-run cities.
They never talk about law and order.
Mark has the must-see interview Sunday.
Okay, yeah, he's going to be on Life, Liberty, and 11 on Sunday. Let me check in on C-SPAN quite quickly here. Nope, nothing there yet. Now I need the AC on again. This room. The trouble is, of course, you've got a computer and studio, just a single studio LED light. It's not that hot, but 3 monitors, etc. Things heat up and cool down in here. I need my own AC system, and I'm waiting for Kevin Lee's son to bring that to me. But he hasn't. Or I could just buy one because I'm not working. Hey, if you'd like to help me out, a couple of different ways to do it. You can do that by going to Venmo and sending me money. You can do that via PayPal at paypal.me/KevinLeeDad. Or even better, go to KevinLeeFather.com. And there you can become a patron of the farts. You can become a protester, a resistor. You can become a producer. You can become an executive producer. You, if you're in here and you're in supporting Trump, if you give me $100,000, I will stop the live stream. I won't do it anymore. I will sell myself out. I have no problem with doing that if you gave me $100,000. And maybe I'll just be a poll worker instead. And by that, get back into stripping. But I got to get back into it. It's so hard. You know, as you get older, losing that weight. Hold on a second. Hey, could you turn on the AC again? Just put like the temperature 1 down and it should kick in. So just so long as the regular temperature that it shows on the left, as long as the temperature on the right is lower than that, it should kick on. I was talking to my dog. Okay, let's check in on the news people here. That's what we were going to do. We were going to go back to Fox and Friends in the morning. And I think that our friend...
A smile has the power to get you feeling all right.
Judge Juicebox was on there earlier today. And let's see if anybody else was on earlier that might be interesting. There's Geraldo. Hey, he's never interesting. Who else? We're going through this. Yeah, I'm waiting for October because California ballots come out in October. You guys are correct. Guess what? Let's watch a little bit of this. While we're waiting, watch a little bit of the CNN town hall from yesterday. Are these highlights? Oh, they're just advertising it. Okay. The 11 things, they were advertising it on Fox and Friends as well. Prostate. That's it. There's your audience. My pillow and prostate. That's Fox's. How is that not obscene, FCC? You tell me. I think I'm just going to keep that on. This is going to be my freeze screen. Meaning when we start the pre-roll with the chat room, I'm just going to leave that up there. Yeah, I don't know what news just broke because I haven't seen anything updated on the TV channels. Usually they'll be like breaking news. Well, yeah, no, the judge, so someone mentioned that earlier in the chat room here. Yesterday, the judge made it official. He had said before that everything's got to be reversed. He said a few days ago, bench ruling, that everything's got to be reversed and put back to before DeJoy was in charge of the mail system. And yesterday, out came the ruling, the actual piece of paper. And promote a normal Kevin size. Is that what you're saying, Todd? Because that is correct. And the ruling, the actual written ruling by the judge is scathing. Basically, everything has to be put back, and if there's anything in addition to what's been going on that makes it look like the mail will not be able to get election ballots back in time, that needs to be fixed immediately as well. And if anybody is having problems, if there's any post offices around the country that is having issues because of what has changed, they need to just tell me, and I'll make sure it happens. He enjoined everybody, and I was enjoying watching it. That's why it's called enjoying Okay. That's what we were gonna do. Was going to do the town hall. It didn't. For whatever reason, my Yahoo didn't record it because I didn't set it to record. But let's take a look here at the town hall. Go ahead. CNN town hall. That's all it says. Here we go. Town hall. Joe Biden. 14 hours ago. Let's take a look here.
And good evening, live from Pennsylvania. Riders.
Let's skip ahead a little bit here. So it's at a drive-in.
Yep. Yeah.
Everybody.
I don't know if it's at a drive-in or it was just parked cars around a stage. I don't know.
All right, let's start with the coronavirus.
Okay. Oh, Colleen is posting the news for us. Breaking news from Colleen. Also, emails from Caputo and his science advisors show how the two refused to accept CDC science and sought to silence the agency, lashed out at CDC staff, and falsely claimed kids zero risk of death. Yeah, and what I was saying 3-4 weeks ago is that when the CDC guidelines on testing changed, it didn't even sound like it was CDC language. It sounded like a politician. It just kind of reached in there. Now, the scary part is the actual verbiage for the testing, the new guidelines for the testing, apparently went through the task force, which is surprising because A, we still have a task force, and B, that means that Fauci, etc., even Dr. Scarf, they're not in charge of the task force. Dr. Scarf, as much as you may or may not like her, she's very exacting in her language. She's very, very careful about the way she phrases things. That's how she's able to get away with it. And I think, as I said before, she believed that she could be on the inside and help make a difference and help save lives. And everybody who's thought that in the Trump campaign, they're all gone. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. He does not listen to anyone. Hold on just a second. Okay. Yeah, so it turns out that, in fact, the change at the CDC with the health guidelines in terms of testing and when you need to test and not testing asymptomatic patients, which is ridiculous, was not approved by the scientists at the CDC. And when they objected, they were told, hey, we can't change it. There's nothing we can do. The website is all controlled on their end. We don't do it. It's all under the purview now of, I think, Ben Carson. Scary. And he's a brain surgeon who used to run Godfather's Pizza? Is that? Also, yeah, Julian Assange was offered a presidential pardon by Russian Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. We actually knew that already. And it would be a big story, except that everybody in the Trump chain of events has denied that he knew anything about the pardon offered to Assange in order to bury the Russia story. It's terrible, but it looks like it may have been Dana Rohrabacher on his own. Even if it wasn't, it's going to be denied, and it's not going to change anything.
In the United States, obviously, we're approaching nearly 200 deaths so far, more than any other country in the world. And our first question tonight is from Shawnee Adams. She's a Democrat from Philadelphia. Shawnee?
Good evening, Vice President Biden.
Yes, the lawyer confirmed it, but we already knew that. But the lawyer for the prosecution, for the U.S. attorneys, they are aware that Dana Rohrabacher did this, but without the guidance from President Trump. Apparently, the offer was made, and Dana Rohrabacher said, hey, if you agree to this, I can get in touch with the president. I have the ear of the president. Or probably Dana would just call Putin, and then Putin would tell Trump what to do. But they can deny it.
How are you? And Anderson.
Hey.
My sister, Phoenicia Adams, lost her life due to contracting COVID-19 on her job. No, she was not a doctor or a nurse. She worked in environmental services department of a hospital. As a result, my niece, Enisha Hill, is without a mother. My parents are without a daughter, and we are without a sister. My sister was full of life and had a smile that lit up the room. Vice President Biden, what plan do you have in place to keep us from contracting COVID-19 virus in our workplace?
First of all, I feel so badly for you.
This is where Biden shines. Yeah, I know it was Herman Cain. I was conflating the two of them, and I was going to go somewhere with that, and then I thought better of it.
You know, we talk about almost 200,000 deaths, and it's almost like background noise. But it means a lot of empty chairs. It means a lot of children without their mothers or fathers. It means a lot of people not able to see their parents so much. So my heart goes out to you. And your sister as well. Her children. It's just incredible. Look, there's three things we should be doing. Number one, we should make sure that we have national standards laid out. So
I'm going to interrupt him. So some of you are saying you're getting a blurry picture. The throughput here is actually really good today. We've only dropped out of all the frames so far 0%. A total so far in 2 hours and 17 minutes of broadcast of 69 dropped frames. Right? Am I right, ladies? Hi, V.
How people can, in fact, go to work safely and have a national standard. You can't mandate it, but as President of the United States, I'd lay out the broad strokes of what has to be done to make people safe in their workplace and safe in school. And that requires us to have rapid testing, the protective gear available from the very beginning, like this president hasn't done, making sure we provide for the ability for workplaces to have the wherewithal to provide for the safety. That requires some federal funding, particularly kids going back to school, making sure that we're in a position that there's testing and tracing and get testing quickly. There's a whole range of things we should have done, and I laid it out all the way back in March how we should do that, and the president has totally disregarded it. He continues to think that masks don't matter very much, although he says it, and then he has these large gatherings only with everybody around with no masks on, and it's extremely dangerous. And so there's a lot of people hurt, a lot of people not being able to see their families, a lot of people gone, a lot of empty chairs. And it's got to stop. And it stops by eliminating him as not eliminating, but making sure he's not reelected as president of the United States.
Yeah, you could have stopped with eliminating, but that's smart that he changed that because they would have grabbed that.
States.
By the way, Fox and Friends this morning was all about how these are all softball questions. That for months it's been he's not taking any questions, and then when he takes questions, he's only taking softball questions. There's a couple of non-softballs later here.
His next 4 years, not much will change.
Mr. Vice President, the President Trump has said that he downplayed the coronavirus because he didn't want to cause panic. If you were president, could you see a scenario where you downplayed critical information so as not to...
KFT, what do you do that lets you watch this nonsense at work? I want that job. I guess I kind of do have that job.
Cause panic?
Not at all. The idea that you're going to not tell people what you've been told, that this virus is incredibly contagious.
From our homes to yours.
Flu. You breathe the air. You get it sucked into your lungs. What has he done? Imagine, and by the way, Columbia University Medical School pointed out, if he had just acted 1 week earlier, he would have saved 37,000 lives. All the way back, and I was on one of your shows, all the way back in March, I was calling for the need for us to have masks, have the president stand and tell us what's going on. But he knew it. He knew it and did nothing. It's close to criminal.
We've got a question from William Tripp O'Malley, a social studies teacher, over here, from Dunmore. He's a Democrat. Tripp?
My dad's from Dunmore.
Mr. Vice President, the messaging on the coronavirus from the White House has been all over the place since February. It's been extremely inconsistent. It's caused so many people in this country to ignore the virus and not take the necessary precautions. How will you get the proper messaging out to all Americans to keep them informed as to how to properly protect themselves and others from this pandemic?
What presidents say matter. People listen. I will make it clear what is needed to be done. I cannot mandate people wearing masks, but we've just been told we should expect another 215,000 dead by January. But if we wore a mask, we'd save 100,000 of those lives, doing nothing but that. We have to make sure we lay out to the American people the truth, tell them the truth. And I would make sure that I would call every governor in the country into the White House, say, you should be putting mandates out. If they don't, I'd call the mayors in their towns and their cities and say, put out mandates. You can save lives. And we should be providing for the PPE, the protective gear that is needed. Look, you know what recently happened? The President of the United States said that no longer would we, in fact, provide masks for schools. For schools, pay them to have the mask in school because it was not a national emergency. What is he talking about? It's totally irrational. And look, this is all about one thing, the stock market. He doesn't want to see anything happen. It's all about his reelection. It should be about the American people, and they're in trouble. And if we don't do it, and by the way, his own CDC director contradicted him recently. He said, if in fact you just wore this mask, nothing else but this mask, you would save between now and January another 100,000 lives. And so we have to be honest with the American people. They're tough. They know, as Franklin Roosevelt said, things get worse and worse before they get better and better, but you got to level with the American people, shoot from the shoulder. There's never been a time they've not been able to step up. This president should step down.
Mr. Vice President, you've called the president's rallies irresponsible, yet you praised peaceful protesting this summer. What is the difference when it comes to COVID safety?
I think COVID safety is a problem no matter where people are.
Still delayed on the president. It's been an hour now, kids. And the president has not come out yet. John Roberts is doing a stand-up, which is John Roberts, the Fox reporter, is doing a stand-up, meaning he's standing up at the front of the room. I can show you guys. Here's John Roberts, boom, doing a stand-up at the front of the room, which tells us that they haven't received their 2-minute warning yet. Sometimes they get a 5-minute, then they get a 2-minute. The 2-minute usually means 5 minutes. And sometimes, and then the president could just walk out whenever, too. So you never know. But typically they receive a warning. So Trump is up to something right now. It's been at least an hour.
Wearing masks if they don't have masks on. The context of praising people.
I like this. I've got like a news ticker over on the side, and it's Colleen. That's awesome. What I also like is that the first time ever, without thinking of it, I pointed the right direction to the chat room, which is the opposite, because to me, I'm looking at it, it's over there. You guys see it over there. It's the first time I did it without thinking about it. I'm so happy. I feel like I've actually accomplished something this year. It's true. I just read that tweet too. Oh, there's a tweet to read. Okay, what's the tweet, guys? Refresh me because I was doing something else on the other screen. Let's go check out. While we're doing this, let's go check out what John's saying on the Fox there. We'll come back to the live stream. Here's his live broadcast.
That may be a little bit of an...
Hold on.
West in Beltrami County. He flipped that in 2016. Can he do it again? I'll break it down the map in a moment for you. We also have analysis from Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace, but we begin this hour inside the briefing room with John Roberts to close out the week on a Friday. John, good afternoon.
Why show Chris Wallace at that point? Like, you're not going to him. Live streaming is difficult. Sometimes things just don't work the way you want them to work. And I know that.
And Bill, let me first of all say your lips to God's ears, because we thought an hour ago that any moment President Trump was going to come out here in the briefing room, and we're still here, but he only has 45 minutes.
Why did you think that? You should not have thought that. Is he gonna? Yeah, he's got to get on a plane here. It's supposed to be Joint Force Base Andrews Tacoma McLean. It's hard for me to say Joint Base without McCord, because that's up in Seattle.
minutes before he's supposed to head off to Minnesota, so he should be here sometime in the next few minutes, we hope.
Oh, yeah, because he always gets to his rallies on time.
When he goes to Minnesota, he is going to find a state that may be a little bit more difficult to get than it looked like it was even in 2016. He lost to Hillary Clinton by 1.5 points back then. And now the Real Clear Politics average of polls is showing Joe Biden with a 10-point lead. Most of the recent polls have had Biden up 8, up 9. A recent one by ABC News Washington.
Before you get too excited, kids, remember in 2016 at this time on September 17th, technically, so one day before this, if you look at the polls from 2016, Hillary was up by 178 points. So don't get too optimistic.
Post had Biden up by 16, so that may be a little bit of an outlier. We don't know. But the president believes that...
Is Biden speaking live right now? Liz, is he? Let me know where you're watching, and I will try and find
if he spends enough time in Minnesota, he will be able to flip the state. That would make him the first Republican to win it since 1972 and Richard Nixon. I mean, even in his 49-state win in 1984, Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. We could expect that the president will go after Joe Biden in this event tonight in Bemidji, again on the law and order.
What are the odds on Trump being able to pronounce Bemidji?
Issue, again, on outsourcing.
Where am I? What's it? How's it called? It's pronounced. That's what I says. That's from last night.
Jobs,
no, I'm not making up words. He looked back at the teleprompter, studied it, and said, "That's what I says."
As the president has charged the Obama-Biden administration did to China and other places, the president will pledge that he is the one who can bring these back. The president also looking to improve his margins in the Hispanic community. There's about 300,000 Hispanics in the state of Minnesota. Earlier today, the White House and FEMA announced the single biggest emergency relief grant it has ever put out there to the island nation of Puerto Rico, $11.6 billion to rebuild the power infrastructure as well as make improvements to education. This on the third anniversary of Hurricane Maria slamming Puerto Rico with Category 5 winds, literally destroying the island and certainly destroying the electrical grid there. The politicians in Puerto Rico very happy to have this money, but some question as to about the timing, why the president is doing this now when we are within 50 days of the election. Bill?
Thank you, John.
Biden speaking on Now This. Hold on. Let's go to Now This. Okay. Now This News. Where? It's not on their website. Are they doing a live stream on YouTube? We'll check that out. Guys, where are you watching it? Okay. They are waiting for the president. They are just doing the live stream on the president right now. Okay, somebody just walked in. No, it's a reporter. It is a reporter. So hold on that. Actually, the stenographer just walked in. So yeah, it's not a reporter. So we are almost there, kids. You see it on the Twitter. Okay, I don't know why now this wouldn't be broadcasting it on multiple platforms. Maybe they don't know how to do that. It does kind of take a genius to make this work. Hold on, kids. I'm going to bring us over to the stream. Let's see if John has anything else to say.
The mass matches the tie. Well done. We're on standby there from the briefing room. Thank you, John. As you mentioned, in-person voting begins today in Minnesota.
Ooh, he's got a giant iPhone on the wall.
The state's not voted for Republicans since going back to Nixon in 1972. Today, Trump and Biden are just a few counties apart.
This is
fascinating look right here. 2016, you see the state of Minnesota, razor tight here. Hillary Clinton won it by about 1.5 points. Here's where the president will be in the county of Beltrami later today. This is a county, not a ton of votes up in this part of Minnesota, largely rural and white voters, but he beat Hillary Clinton by 11 points here. What's interesting, you go back to 2012, you see what Barack Obama did. He won that county by 11 points. Now, right now, the Trump team is starting to go ahead and find its way to get more voters and more supporters in this part of the state.
Yeah, it's interesting that both candidates are there because what that tells us is they think that this might be in swing or in play. Oh, here we go. And we are going live. Give me a moment here, guys. Let's go to Fox because they will be covering it live. So let's go live. Hit me live. Go.
education and websites you can go to find out how you can cast your vote.
There's a general, and it might be Stephen Hahn standing on the other side. I've got a very small window over there, but so we'll stay
and
on
make
Fox
it count
here.
because I think that's a big issue.
Yeah. In 2016, 9.5 million people voted in Florida. Get this now, 28% by mail. And that primary that I just mentioned, 60% of the votes were cast by mail. As you can see the dramatic difference we're about to experience here. I know you got a packed show on Sunday. We're within the 2-minute warning, Chris. So just hang with me a moment here. And how do you see this playing out in a way where, you know, over on the board, you're just a few counties away, where these men will be separated tonight. And then we're going to see them on stage in about a week and a half in Cleveland, Ohio. So how do you believe Joe Biden did last night during that town hall in Pennsylvania?
I think he did fine. I think he had a much easier evening in terms of the questions that were posed on CNN than President Trump had and the questions that were posed to him on ABC. I do think the Trump campaign has to be very concerned, though, because they keep, the president, even last night, keeps talking about Joe Biden is shot. You know, I know he's got some very important advisors next to him saying, don't lower expectations for Biden, raise them. You know, he's been in Congress and the White House and all of that for 47 years. He's an expert. I'm an amateur. You know, play down your expectations, play them up for Joe Biden.
Oh, Chris, like Trump would ever admit that.
So he's got a higher bar he's got to cross in the debate.
Sweet, sweet, dear Chris. I want to reach out and just stroke his hair. Just, Chris, come on, Chris, you know better than that. Yes, that's what Trump should be doing. Chris is absolutely 100% correctly, but Trump is incapable of that.
I thought it was the first chance that a lot of people, frankly, had to listen to Joe Biden. He hasn't taken a lot of questions, made a lot of opinions.
And don't get me wrong, I love me some Chris Wallace. Sir, with all due respect, Chris, you understand, that's not, Trump will not.
Appearances, but usually is in front of a teleprompter, then he turns tail and walks away. Last night was very different. You had 90 minutes, close to 2 hours, where you could listen to him and see how he is managing this campaign to date.
I think it is literally the first time that he has faced any group of voters.
Great company.
We're on. Here we go.
He has faced any group of voters.
One more.
And the question as to whether he needs to kick it into a higher gear or whether, well, here's the president.
Thank you, Chris. We'll see you on Sunday for Fox News Sunday. Chris Wallace, thanks.
We have 3 great companies doing somewhat different variations, but they're all looking very good. From the beginning of the China virus, all nations have understood that our top priority must be to develop a vaccine as quickly as possible to end the pandemic and get life back to normal. The successful vaccine will not only save millions of lives, it will put an end to the restrictions and some of the things that go on and have to go on in the meantime. Today I want to discuss the historic progress we're making to deliver a safe and effective vaccine in record time. And there's never been anything like this ever in our history. There's never been in history, period, world history. Since January, America's brilliant doctors and scientists have been working around the clock. These are the best medical minds in the world by far, and the vaccines are going through the gold standard of clinical trials and very heavy emphasis placed on safety. 3 vaccines are already in the final stage. Joe Biden's anti-vaccine theories are putting a lot of lives at risk, and they're only doing it for political reasons. It's very foolish. It's part of their war to try and discredit the vaccine now that they know that we essentially have it. We'll be announcing it fairly soon.
Essentially have it.
As part of Operation Warp Speed, my administration's manufacturing all of the most promising vaccines in advance. And actually, it'll be fairly long in advance. As soon as a vaccine is approved, the administration will deliver it to the American people immediately. Distribution will begin.
I got to interrupt here. For the record, Chris Wilson put together that new logo for us, and I tried, this is a serious attempt, to match the blue as best that I could. So I don't know if this was the shirt you were inspired by, Chris, but there it is.
Within 24 hours after notice, and the general, I think those are the words specifically you wanted us to use.
Yes, Mr. President.
Within 24 hours, you're all set to go, and massive amounts will be delivered through our great military, and the general is one of our best, and he is ready to go. We'll have manufactured at least 100 million vaccine doses before the end of the year, and likely much more than that. Hundreds of millions of doses will be available every month, and we expect to have enough vaccines for every American by April. And again, I'll say that even at that later stage, the delivery will go as fast as it comes. They can deliver. They're very good. Best, I think, probably the best in the world. The estimates I'm providing today are based on the manufacturing that's in process, and that's in process immediately right now. We've already exceeded our ambitious goals under the defense.
Currently, it's in process currently, not immediately, right now. Right now it's fine, but immediately, no. That means it's about to be anyway.
Production Act contracts that we've secured, we may even get far above these numbers. The numbers that I'm telling you today, I think will exceed them very, very substantially. And I think that also includes distribution. I think distribution will go.
He is upplaying the numbers.
Even quicker than most people think. I'm relying on our military. Everything I've done with our military has worked out very well. In a short time, we'll have a safe and effective vaccine, and we'll defeat the virus. Interestingly, as I was saying, that go very well, just like what we did with our military with respect to ISIS went very well, long ahead of schedule. They have been incredible in working with me. Let's go to Puerto Rico.
ISIS?
Because Puerto Rico's been hit very, very hard by a lot of different storms, and they're great people.
Again, this is going for the Hispanic vote. So he waited. You know, Hurricane Maria was, last week, I think? But this is what happened.
It's a great place. I know it well. Great place. Today, my administration's making the largest emergency relief award in history to rebuild Puerto Rico's electrical grid and educational system. We're awarding $13 billion to permanently repair and replace thousands of miles of transmission and distribution lines that should have been done many years ago. This was beyond even the storms. This was just age and a lot of the salt. The salt from that ocean is a killer for electrical stations and power generation systems. But on top of the salt, you had these massive storms or hurricanes come in, and Maria in particular.
I hope that nobody told him that Puerto Rico doesn't get any electoral college votes, but he's trying to win Florida. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Florida, especially more since Hurricane Maria last week, right? Hurricane Maria was last week, so he's on the ball here.
It was a disaster, but for many years they've been trying to get this done, and they have had the political willpower in Washington to get it done. So we're going to get it done for them. We're also going to be bringing back very, very major amounts of medical work. You know, we used to have pharmaceutical manufacturing at levels that few places had, and a lot of it's left Puerto Rico, and we're going to bring that back, especially.
He is correct, though. Big Water does have salt.
Now, since our emphasis is going to be making our product, so we're going to bring pharmaceutical manufacturing back to Puerto Rico. A lot of it left over the years, over a long period of time. It's been leaving and going to China and other places. So we're bringing all of that back. This was done in previous administrations. I'd like to just point out, we've done more for Puerto Rico than anybody, and this is just an example of it, but we've done more for Puerto Rico by far than anybody. We'll also be launching a major effort to repair and renovate the schools across the island. Following Hurricane Maria, my administration immediately deployed the full power of the federal government to bring the electric grid back online so they could at least temporarily, and it certainly wasn't a permanent fix. It was ripped to shreds, but a lot of that was ripped to shreds long before even the storm came in. For many, many years they've been trying to do it. But we wanted to restore water supplies, and we did make emergency repairs to critical infrastructure, which we took care of, and save countless lives, which we did. FEMA's response in Puerto Rico included the longest sustained air mission supplying food and water in American history. We supplied it for long after the hurricane was gone, the largest disaster commodity distribution mission in U.S. history and the largest sea bridge operation in federal disaster aid U.S. history. My administration...
Where else are we going to have a sea bridge? I mean, Hawaii, I guess, but that would have to be an air bridge. U.S. Virgin Islands? This is 3 years ago, and he's just now getting around to being like, yeah, let's get that electrical bridge finished. By the way, we all remember that the firm that was originally given the contract to restore the electricity in Puerto Rico, they were friends of Ryan Zinke's. Was it Whitefish, Montana? Where was it? Ryan Zinke, who eventually had to resign in disgrace because of corruption, taking money and going, by the way, to using government funds to go give a pep talk to the Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, which is owned by a big Trump donor, all on your dime. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, who just lost and are now out of the Stanley Cup, so they do not make the finals. And that's good news.
Nations also prepositioned vast quantities of relief supplies for the future disasters. But unfortunately, Puerto Rico's in the way of a lot of different storms, a lot of hurricanes, and the island is now stocked with nearly 8 times as much drinking water and 13 times as much food as it had before I took office, so they're ready to go if something should happen. They got brushed by a storm recently, but they're in a good position. So we're going to bring back medical distribution and manufacturing to Puerto Rico, and at a level far greater than it was before. And it's been emptied out. It's been largely left the island for many years. One point it was the talk of the world, and now it's the talk of the world in a different way. We're bringing it back, so we're going to be bringing it back from various other parts of the world. It's going to...
Yeah, when it got ravaged by a hurricane in September of 2017, it was the talk of the world. Right now, honestly, we've been in chat. Has anybody mentioned Puerto Rico before right now when Trump brought it up? Has anyone done that today?
Puerto Rico, and I think that's going to be very exciting for the people. And we're undertaking the largest federal investment in...
And now what we've done is we have more hay for the horse in the barn than ever before. We have bales and bales of hay at a greater level, 35 bales of hay at a level that Obama never had the hay. We haven't seen the horse in a few years. The barn door was... that we've shut the barn door, and we're hoping that the horse is able to figure out how to... Oh, horses, tremendously smart horses. Nobody's seen a horse this smart since Mr. Ed, which is a documentary from
Puerto Rico's history. So you have a lot of... I have a lot of friends in Puerto Rico, and I've told them about it, asked them about it. Conceptually, what do you think? And they're very excited.
A lot of friends.
I just want to say, by contrast, Biden's devastated the island of Puerto Rico.
Has he?
Joe Biden, what he's done to Puerto Rico,
really,
meaning the past administration, is devastating.
How so?
In 1996, Biden voted to eliminate a critical...
Is this about Desposito?
...tax provision that had allowed Puerto Rico to become a dominant player in global pharmaceutical manufacturing. That's what happened. When Biden voted to repeal this provision, the pharmaceutical industry was ripped out of Puerto Rico. All incentive to stay there was taken away. And all of the jobs went to China and other places, but mostly to China. That's what happened.
It's much more complicated than that. And 60 Minutes already did an expose on this a couple of years back, several years back. And why isn't Puerto Rico a state, which the Democrats want to make a state? And that solves a lot of the problems. Because, when bills are passed, the federal government doesn't care if the bill helps red states, blue states. It doesn't matter. It's helping Americans, right? It's helping the states, and the states have equal representation because they're states. Well, they don't have equal representation, but that's another story. Anyway, and so you'll never, ever get a time when, for example, Mitch McConnell might say, I don't want to pass this bill because I don't like the blue states. You'll never, just imagine a president saying, for example, let's say there's some sort of natural disaster and a meteor hits the country, and the president would never say like, oh, but if you take out all the deaths in the blue states, because everyone's an American. That would never, ever happen. Anyway, Joe Biden set Puerto Rico on fire because of Antifa.
Happened. This was done with a vote of Biden. This was even before the Obama administration. This was early on, but so sad that was done. And then Obama came in, and it got worse.
Whew.
So for the people of Puerto Rico,
I'm just so glad that President Trump has finally reached out to the president of Puerto Rico, and there are negotiations going on. He should get a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
they were a disaster for you. And I have to say, in a very nice way, a very respectful way, I'm the best thing that ever happened to Puerto Rico. Nobody even close. But as a result, the island's economy, under the previously mentioned names, it just absolutely cratered. Biden's vote also left the United States at the mercy of foreign suppliers for essential medicines, putting our national security and our health at risk. We had a tremendous industry potentially going to Puerto Rico, and they just absolutely cut it short with bad votes and took all the incentive away, and it went to other places, faraway lands. So they really, in a sense, were voting to destroy Puerto Rico, and we're bringing Puerto Rico back, and we'll have it done fairly quickly. And the $13 billion is that's a tremendous amount of money, but it's a very important amount, and I think you're going to see something terrific. And it's very exciting to me. What the most exciting is bringing the whole pharmaceutical industry back. We've spoken to various companies, and they're willing to go there. They want to have.
I am 98% sure he thinks the pharmaceutical industry it helps the farmers.
A little bit of help, but they're willing to go to Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is going to be very exciting. What's going to happen? They were on the verge of doing it, and they took away all the incentives. I don't know how that was allowed to happen, but they allowed it to happen. That was very, very bad for Puerto Rico and the people of Puerto Rico. That was done by Democrats, and a Republican is bringing it back. So with that, we can take a few questions, and we are, again, very advanced on the vaccine. We think that sometime in the very near future we'll have it. I would say, I think I can say years ahead of schedule what it would be if it were an administration other than this one. It would have been, you would have been years before you ever had anything approved by the FDA. John, please.
Mr. President, this huge aid package to Puerto Rico, why not a year ago? Why not 2 years ago? Why not 3 years ago? Why 46 days to the election?
Because what we're doing is we've been working on it for a long time to get it passed. Very tough to
How he didn't have to pass anything.
get things past Democrats where they don't want to see this happen, and they probably certainly didn't
Watching the live feed, questions coming up from OAN, so we got that to look forward to.
want to see it happen at this point. But it's a big package. It's a great package, and I think the most exciting part of the package isn't necessarily the billions of dollars. It's going to be what we do with the pharmaceutical industry. We're going to get them back into Puerto Rico. They liked being there, but they changed the tax situation. They ripped it out. So they really ripped apart the island, and we're going to bring it back, John.
It may be simply coincidental, but it does coincide with the big push for Puerto Rican voters that the Biden-Harris campaign.
Yeah, I think that that's, well, they can't do anything. Look, the Biden-Harris campaign, what they did, they hurt, I've gone through it, and whether it was President Obama or Vice President Biden, they were a disaster for Puerto Rico, a disaster. And what we're doing and what we've done, but what we're doing is something that will be fantastic for many years in the future. Bringing back the pharmaceutical industry, manufacturing in Puerto Rico is what they've wanted for years, and we're doing that in addition to the $13 billion. Yes, please.
And I just want to say we've also today announced a sweeping package to help the people of Florida. Andrew left them so devastated. And you know what? It never should have happened. It never should have happened. If whoever was president at the time, could have been Clinton. A lot of people are saying it was George W. Bush. It never should have. Hurricane Andrew left Florida, and Florida's such a great state, so we're putting that together. Also, I just want to announce that my administration, for the first time, is sending aid to New Jersey for the Hindenburg disaster. We really want to support the dirigible industry, and it's been so hard. They've talked against it so strongly for so many, and it's about time. It's really about time. We're also going to be linking the railroad in Pennsylvania. So many of the people of Pennsylvania. What else? Is there another swing state? Wisconsin. We just want to say we will be. Has anything ever happened in Wisconsin? Never. It's never happened. Nothing. Not in Wisconsin.
Mr. President, I think I heard you right saying that you said that you expect to have enough vaccines for every American by April. So as we sit here in mid-September, and there have been questions about the timeline, can you walk us through now and the beginning of April to which every American can have a vaccine?
Sure, and I think we may exceed those numbers even. Scott, do you want to discuss that quickly?
Sure. As has been said many times. On the podium, please. Okay. We have all the people that are involved in the actual vaccine distribution here.
Good. Bring in the guy who takes x-rays.
But we were just going through.
Bring in the guy who no longer works at Stanford. Bring in the guy that 78 of his Stanford medical colleagues says doesn't believe in science. Bring him in.
This. As of the end of the year, we will have over 100 million doses manufactured. The people who are in the prioritized list of...
There are 3 different vaccines being manufactured by the government right now. 3 different ones. So really, we're going to have 33 million. By the way, you need 2 doses. So that's really about 15 million people. But let's not be picky about who killed whom.
Including high risk, including first responders, will have the ability to take the vaccine. No one's being mandated to be vaccinated at the latest in January. And as we said yesterday, or I think yesterday, there will be hundreds of millions of doses delivered for people to take it during the first quarter. And so that by April, every single American who wants to be vaccinated will have the ability to be vaccinated.
Okay, they're probably going with the 30% figure when recent polls have showed about 30% of people have said, like, yeah, I'll take the vaccine right away. But I mean, if they want to go that route, yeah. So, yes, we're going to have a vaccine, but, a lot of people don't want it. So...
It's not a force.
I hope he's right. I hope he's dead on and everything is great, and that the radiologist who said that only about 10,000 people are going to die from COVID, I hope he is absolutely accurate.
Vaccination.
I hope he's downplaying it.
Of course.
Dr. Fauci said today, basically echoed Dr. Redfield's comments that Q2, Q3, some point the summer of next year, the entire country potentially, or at least as many Americans that need to be vaccinated, will be vaccinated. Is that the timeline?
Yeah, we think we will.
Next summer?
Yeah, that's on the outer edge. We think we can beat that number very substantially.
And on TikTok, sir, if you don't mind, the Commerce Department essentially gave you a runway today to strike a deal after the election. Do you expect a TikTok deal before the election or after the election?
I think it could go quickly. We have great companies talking to us about it. You know about Oracle. You know Microsoft has been involved, and let's see whether or not they're continuing to be involved. Walmart is truly a great company. They're very much involved. They want to do something. So we have some great options, and maybe we can keep a lot of people happy, but have the security that we need. We have to have the total security from China. We're not going to do anything to jeopardize security. At the same time, it's an amazing company and very, very popular. So if we can do a combination of both, I'd be very happy doing that. Could go very quickly, though. Could go very, very fast. Yeah, please.
And might not. Could go very, very slowly, too. Either way. The app is coming down off the App Store, so if you want yourself some TikTok, get it now. I would advise not getting it.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead, please.
Kuwaiti.
Ann.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Kuwait. So the Kuwaiti ambassador to Austria this week told the IAEA that the Kuwaiti government is very concerned over Iran's constant breaching of the JCPOA. In your discussions with the Kuwaitis today, have you discussed where they stand this week as we go into the UN, as the United States tries to
That's the Iran nuclear deal, by the way.
extend sanctions on Iran?
Well, they just left my office, as you know, the Oval Office, and we had a very good meeting with the Emir, and I think we understand each other very well. They're very excited about a lot of things that are happening in the Middle East. They are so excited that we signed the first 2 countries, and I think they'll end up fairly quickly being a part of it. I have, I would say, 7 or 8 countries that want to be a part of it without even working very easily, very quickly. Nobody thought this would happen, and not only is it happening, it's happening rather easily. We discussed that very briefly, because that's an easy one. Believe it or not, that whole thing is now a beautiful puzzle that's coming together very nicely. But we are talking to them and others about various...
Trump can't even read the name of a city off of a teleprompter, so no, Trump cannot find Kuwait on a map.
Aspects of the Middle East. The Middle East is straightening out with all that's happening. You know, we've brought a lot of our troops back. A lot of them are coming back in the very near future. We're out of Syria, other than we kept the oil. I kept the oil. And we have troops guarding the oil. Other than that, we're out of Syria. We took them off the border between Syria and Turkey. We had a lot of troops on the border. Ultimately, we got it down to 50, and I thought they were in great danger. When you have 2 armies sitting there looking to fight, and you have 50 people in the middle, I don't care who you are, even if you're the U.S., those 50 people are in great danger. We took them out. But we had a lot of troops on the border, and we took them out. I said, look, they've been fighting on their border for 200 years, and a lot longer than that under different names, and they can continue to do that. That's not for us. We're guarding our own borders. We're doing very...
Well, what about the allies, the Kurds, who lost 11,000 people getting rid of ISIS? Remember the thing that you keep taking credit for? The caliphate, specifically? It was the Kurds who fought and won that war for us. And then we deserted them, and hundreds of them died. Oh, well, moving on. I'm so great. I handled the coronavirus.
Well, on our southern border, as an example. So we're out of Syria, except we kept the oil, and we'll make a determination. We'll probably be dealing with the Kurds on the oil and see what it all ends up, but we'll be out. And
dealing with the Kurds. What did he call them? He said it wasn't final solution. He said something about cleaning, cleansing. Turkey wanted him to cleanse Syria. Well, I have that somewhere.
Very importantly, we're down to very few soldiers in Iraq, and we'll be down very shortly over the next couple of weeks to 4,000, less than 4,000 in Afghanistan. And then we'll make that final determination a little bit later on. We're dealing very well with the Taliban. They're very tough, they're very smart, they're very sharp. But, you know, it's been 19 years, and even they are tired of fighting, in all fairness. And we really served as a police force, because if we wanted to do what we had to do, we would have fought a lot differently than they have over the 19 years. They didn't fight it properly. They were police, okay? They're not police, they're soldiers. So there's a difference. The police, nobody has more respect for police than I do, but they have to do their own policing. So we're having some very good discussions with the Taliban, as you probably heard. It's been public. And but we'll be down to, very shortly, we'll be down to less than 4,000 soldiers. And so we'll be out of there, knowing that certain things have to happen, certain things have to be fulfilled. But 19 years is a long time, 8,000 miles away. 19 years is a long time.
This is the president talking about the Kurds. I'll make it big.
A process started at terrorists. They had a lot of people in there that they couldn't have. They've suffered a lot of loss of lives also. And they had to have it cleaned out. But once you start that, it gets to be to a point where a tremendous amount of bad things can happen.
He was talking about Turkey. The strongman Erdogan asked him to clean out the Kurds, clean out Syria. So he obliged. He cleaned out. He cleansed Syria. That was, let's see, October of 2019. Nope, it was a little bit before that. No, that's about right. October of 2019, when he said we needed to cleanse the Kurds, our allies. Not just the Turkish Kurdish terrorist group, but all the Kurds had to get the hell out of the northern region of Syria, and we were outraged for 2 weeks.
And the Middle East, the whole Middle East equation, if you look at what's happened, if you've looked at the stupidity of decisions that were made, including the deal that was made. I mean, take a look at what happened with Iran. Had that deal stayed, had I not broken that deal, you could have never done the deal that I'm doing now, where all the countries are pouring in. And I had 2 calls this morning with countries that want to know, when can we go into the deal? They want to go. It's not that we're giving anything. They want security. They want peace. And they're really tired of fighting. It's incredible. They're tired of fighting. They've been fighting for so many years. They're tired of fighting. Thank you very much.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Mr. President, a question on the vaccine, but first on Puerto Rico. I heard you many times over the past couple of years saying that Puerto Rico got too much money. I mean, just last year you said Puerto Rico is one of the most corrupt places on earth.
Well,
talked about how Congress had sent too much money. But you said never again. You said Congress gave too much money to Puerto Rico. Why now are
Because
you...
we're building it up as a great medical, pharmaceutical, manufacturing area where, you know, we're going to be taking back a lot of the business that we let go for years. And we're going to bring it back. They were very good at it. They did a fantastic job, but they destroyed it with their tax policy. They made it impossible for people to stay, so people went to China mostly and to other countries. Puerto Rico has been very corrupt in terms of its politicians. You see that. They're one after another. It's been unbelievably corrupt. And we're studying that and working on that. And we think we have a good group of people who are working very well with the politicians right now. But I think more exciting than the dollars, and you have to do something with respect to their grid. Their grid is a disaster. Their generators are wiped out, and they've been wiped out for years, long before Maria came. They've been wiped out for years. So if we can build Puerto Rico...
The infrastructure did get noticeably worse after the hurricane. You know, overhead wires and whatnot.
Go back into a pharmaceutical manufacturing area. We're going to...
Oh, I should post to Parler. If you guys want to get couches in here, I can post what we're doing here to Parler. If I ever get, you know what? We would start getting them in droves.
Designated as such. I think...
Is actually anybody on Parler? I'm not sure anybody's actually on Parler.
It'll be unbelievable for Puerto Rico, unbelievable for the people of Puerto Rico, and we can make it very successful.
And a larger question on the vaccine and on other issues regarding the experts in your government. Last night you criticized what Christopher Wray told Congress, your FBI director. You obviously said that the CDC director was flat wrong on a couple of things this week. How is it that you don't trust your own experts? Do you think you know better than they do?
No, I think I have. Yeah, in many cases I do.
Obviously said that the CDC director was flat wrong on a couple of things this week. How is it that you don't trust your own experts? Do you think you know better than they do?
No, I think.
Oh, I do. Not all of them. That's what he said.
I think I have. Yeah, in many cases I do.
Trusting his experts.
I think
in many cases I trust my experts, but not all. No.
We have a bigger problem with China than we have with Russia. I think China is a far bigger problem, and I said, well, that's...
What the intelligence agencies have said is that China would prefer to have Biden win. Most of the international community would rather have Biden win because he's a sane human being and much more predictable than a Trump. That's the big problem with many countries for Trump, because they have no idea what the fuck he's going to do. We don't know what the fuck he's going... Well, I mean, I know what he's going to do. He's going to do stupid things. And I'm right every single time. He's about to say something stupid right now. I guarantee it. He's about to say that Christopher Wray got it wrong, that he didn't define Antifa correctly, that he doesn't pay enough attention to China.
It's okay if you want to think about Russia, but what about China? I think that's a problem.
Russia is actively trying to interfere with our election, actively right now. They don't see that China's doing it. They might be, but the intelligence community has not seen it.
I thought that the definition of Antifa was an absolutely incorrect definition, so I speak up. I like to speak up.
Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, appointed by Trump, by the way, said that Antifa is not an organization, that they're much more of an ideology or a movement. And he doesn't agree with that. He thinks that there's actually like the League of Antifa, and they have buildings that they go to when they have their meetings at Starbucks.
I have fantastic people. That's why we're able to make these great trade deals. That's why we're able to do things like we're doing today. That's why the country has done so well. The country's done numbers like nobody. Had we not had the China plague come in,
we did have the China plague come in. That's what happened. We had it.
If that virus didn't come in, the plague, I call it, the plague from China didn't come in, the numbers we had were not only record-setting, they were beyond anything anyone's ever seen in any country, frankly. Now, we closed it up.
2.3% GDP.
And now we're opening it up. And by the way, the Democrats ought to open up their states, and they ought to open them up fast, John. The faster.
No, David, they're not an organization. The multiple planes with the people wearing black and carrying gear, all of them Antifa, going to Washington, D.C., and also leaving Washington to go to Seattle, all of those, those are coincidental.
The better, because they're hurting their people. A lot of damage done with these extended shutdowns. But we saved millions of lives by doing it the way we did it. And now we're opening it up, and you see the kind of numbers, the manufacturing numbers, see the retail numbers, you look at the employment numbers. They're setting
all terrible
records. It's an incredible thing that's happening. Had the plague not come in, we would have been right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Nobody's ever seen. But even before, it was at the highest stock market, best.
We were having a manufacturing contraction.
Unemployment numbers and employment numbers. We're up to 160 million people, just short of 160 million people employed. We were never close to a number like that.
Well, the population increases, so every president sees a record of the number of people employed. That's the way it works.
And now we're doing it again. And next year, we will have a great economic year. I think one of our best. Yeah.
What Ray said about white supremacists? Did you?
The Postal Service had planned on sending 650 million face masks to Americans back in April. That never happened. Why not? And was it because
I don't know. I don't run it, to be honest. That's run, as you know, that's run by a commission. And they run it, I think, frankly, if they would raise the price of.
There's a postal commission that is independent of the USPS that approves things, but they don't actually run the day-to-day operations of the post office. It would have been Joy, correct me if I'm wrong, David, that would approve things or disapprove. But the Postal Commission is independent. They do things like, for example, we want to charge 54 cents for a stamp. And they look at it and they say, yeah, that makes sense. Or they say, no, you need to charge more, etc. So they are in charge, but they don't run the day-to-day operations. That breaks down to people within the management of the USPS itself.
Packaging, you'd end up making a lot of money or breaking even or doing something. The post office has been a mess by a commission, and they run it. I think, frankly, if they would raise the price of packaging, you'd end up.
We're talking about packaging. We were talking about a pandemic a second ago, but he's saying that we don't charge Amazon enough. Speaking of breaking news, David Mickelson says they say the Amazon founder is. Protesters are currently marching through Medina. That is the ultra-wealthy enclave east of Seattle. It's right near Bellevue, Washington. It's right on the shores of Lake Washington. It's a beautiful neighborhood. All of those houses are worth multi-million dollars. It is the second or third. There's Yarrow Bay, Hunts Point, and Medina. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all in the top 5 for wealthiest cities in the United States per capita.
Making a lot of money or breaking even.
They say the Amazon founder, Bezos, is hoarding wealth and exploiting workers. Meanwhile, the police department is posting an update every time the group moves.
Even or doing something. The post office has been a mess for many, many generations, but for certainly decades, and it loses a lot of money. It's always lost a lot of money. And one of the reasons it loses a lot of money now is that it's delivering all these packages, and every time they deliver a package, they lose $3 a package or whatever the number may be. So I would suggest that they raise the price of
that is inaccurate
packages, and you might get something where it loses very little or maybe broke even or maybe even made some money. Can you imagine a thing like that? And whether it's Amazon or any of the other internet delivery services, if you did that, you'd have a whole different post office. So hopefully they'll be doing that. In the meantime, I know so many people in the postal system, and I've known them over the years. They're incredible people, and they're very secure. They're going to be very secure. You know, the problem they have with the ballots, not the post office, the problem they have with the ballots is the people sending the ballots and the people counting the ballots. And who are they sending them to? Where are they being sent? Are they being sent to the wrong areas? Are they not being sent at all? There'll be tremendous corruption if they don't do something about it. Now, one big hope is that we're in front of numerous federal judges in Nevada. We're in front in Pennsylvania, as you know. We're in front in Michigan. We have numerous court cases out there that are very well advanced, and you'll start seeing decisions, just like we won the case on opening up Pennsylvania. That was a great decision by a judge that came down 2 days ago, and that was a very important decision. So, but we have a lot of very important decisions coming down on this, on the scam of unsolicited ballots, where they're sending out tens of millions of ballots to everybody, people that didn't expect them, people.
No, there's 50 million ballots being sent out to people that do expect them, because they've always expected them at elections. They vote by mail. Washington, Utah, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon.
Getting inundated.
In California, I've registered to permanently receive my ballot by mail. There's dozens of states like this.
They'll be showered with ballots.
I will not be showered with ballots.
Everybody in this room knows it's a scam. Okay? Everybody in this room, even John. Don't say it, John, because it's a scam. Sending ballots.
That's Jonathan Carl with ABC News. What's a scam? What's a scam?
Sending ballots at a level they are never going to be able to count them.
What about it is a scam?
Let me ask you.
Don't your officials vote by mail, sir? People in the White House.
Don't their officials vote by mail? That is Caitlin with CNN.
Vote by mail? Are they part of the scam?
That's different.
Sounds like Caitlin. I don't know if it's Caitlin.
It's called solicited. When you solicit, when you go out, it's called absentee or solicit. When you go out and you request a ballot, you want to say, I want to vote because I can't be in Florida or I can't be someplace. You request. So you're sending something in. It's handled professionally.
Almost, Colleen. I believe 15% of the votes cast by 15% of the votes for Trump were cast by mail. So about a quarter of the ballots. So I don't know. You could be right about that, but I think the statistic, you're saying the statistic backwards. Go ahead and take a look at it, and if you think it's true, absolutely, we'll just accept it. What the hell?
They send it back. It's a whole thing. That's much different than unsolicited. When you get millions of ballots, I heard numbers like 80 million ballots. Now,
it's not correct.
Just this week, they had another one of the disasters that took place, an election. But look at what happened in New Jersey, and they had another one in New Jersey.
I have not found any evidence of what he's talking about with this disaster that happened this week.
Very, very bad, different than Patterson. Look at what happened in New York with your Congressman, Murphy. Maloney. Carolyn Maloney. Look at that. I mean, look at that race.
Murphy is the governor of Jersey.
Carolyn Maloney had a race. It was a disaster. Ballots are missing. Ballots are fraud. These are small races. Look at what happened in Virginia. Look at what happened at various other parts of the country, even over the last short period of time. And these aren't 80 million.
I gotta say, I always give him a break when it comes to names, because I am absolutely terrible with names. So when President Truman makes a mistake with names, I don't hold that against him.
Million or 50 million or 20 million votes. These are small elections. These are congressional elections where in theory it's easy. So what's going to happen on November 3rd when somebody's leading and they said, well, we haven't counted the ballots. We have millions of ballots to count.
So the solution here is to push states to start counting the ballots early, as many states do. So the mail-in ballots are coming in. Go ahead and run them through the machines. So they come election night, woo, here's your results. Keep them a secret. You can program the computers not to release those results until they're asked for. It's not just one guy sitting in a basement who's 400 pounds at the end of his bed in Macedonia. That's not how it's run.
It's a disaster. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it's a disaster. And I don't expect people here to say, although some people will. Some people would say it. Everyone knows. You don't even have to know politics to know. And this has nothing to do with post office, by the way. Where are these ballots going? Who's sending them? Who's signing them? You have in Nevada, you have...
This is all recorded. People know how this works. We've been doing it.
A governor that signs something where he doesn't even want verification.
It's not true. He wants 2 verifications. In other words, when ballots come in, the trouble with mail-in ballots, there is a problem with mail-in ballots, and it's been rectified in most of the states that take mail-in ballots. The problem with mail-in ballots, absentee ballots that Trump votes with, absentee, mail-in, whatever you want to call them, let's just stick to absentee. For example, in Florida, 2% of absentee ballots were rejected in 2009, 2010, whenever the study was done. Could have been 2008. Could have been 2012. 2% of the ballots that came in Florida. Could be every election. I don't know. Here's what I do know is 2% of the ballots were rejected compared to 1% of ballots that are cast in person. So the problem is that those ballots are rejected because of mismatched signatures. And that can be, for example, sometimes I will sign my name with a T for my middle initial. Sometimes I sign it without the T. They'll be rejected in Florida. That's a problem. So what they did in Nevada, where it was a case where a whole bunch of ballots were rejected because, oh, this looks like a K. Is that a K? That's not a K. Okay, reject it. What has to happen in Nevada now is that 2 people have to actually reject it. And if it is rejected, then the voter gets contacted and is asked, is this you? And the voter is able to say yes or no, and so it's counted. So this whole no signature verification, no, it's literally tripled the signature verification. But he doesn't understand how work things. That's what I says.
Of the signature. So what does that mean? So he doesn't even want verification of the signature. So I think it's going to be a
Why doesn't someone in the press room right there say, sir, that's not true. He wants double verification. Why not? I mean, I know they're busy. They don't have the kind of time that I have. I get it. No, they haven't read the law that was passed by the legislature and the governor and will be.
Terrible time for this country, and we're counting on federal judges to do a great constitutional job when they're right now analyzing it. Many federal judges, I think 5 or 6, but many federal judges, I can tell you, in Pennsylvania, big, in Nevada, very big. What? I believe it's an constitutional job.
I can tell you now,
when they're
big,
right now analyzing it. Many federal judges, I think 5 or 6, but many federal judges, I can tell you, in Pennsylvania, big, in Nevada, very big. I believe it's in front of a judge in Michigan. We have a lot of judges have not yet ruled on this.
Is it big? Is it big in Michigan?
But if it's ruled in a different manner, or it's ruled where these millions and millions of unsolicited people that aren't even asking, there's such a difference.
They're registered to vote. When you register to vote, you're asking to vote. That's how it works.
Write in, you ask, they send it to you, you sign it, you send it back, that's perfect. That's absentee. There's nothing like going to the voter booth, by the way, nothing, where they check you as you go in. There's nothing like that. But that's absentee, that's okay. But the scam of sending millions and millions of ballots, and you know who knows this better than I do? The Democrats. They know it's going to be a mess. They know they're going to be millions of missing ballots, or tremendous numbers of missing ballots.
And when you lose, you're going to claim that you would have won, except that the ballots are missing.
You'll be talking about large percentages of these ballots are going to be missing. There's going to be fraud. It's a disaster. And it'll be a lot easier for me not to bring it up, but everybody knows I'm
okay. Take the easy route.
Right.
I mean, ride that golf cart.
And you don't have to know a lot about elections. You don't have to know a lot about politics. This is going to be the scam.
TDS stands for The Daily Show.
Scam of all time. And hopefully the federal judges, all respected, all highly respected, hopefully they'll be able to see this.
Yes, also Democrats are better at sticking together.
clearly and stop it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So I want to congratulate Puerto Rico, and I think you're going to have a great period of time. I think you're going to see a rebuilding of Puerto Rico. Thank you very much.
So there you have it. The headlines really made toward the end there about the election. Let's get to all of this right now as we bring in Democratic Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania. Sir, he applauds the decision that was made in Pennsylvania to allow votes to be received up to 3 days after the election, so long as they're postmarked by Election Day. But it's clear that he drew a distinction between absentee ballots and unsolicited ballots where a state, in this case not Pennsylvania, but other states.
Yeah, most of the states aren't doing the automatic sending out of ballots anyway. I think is it 9 states total, 5 of which have always done it? Not always. 5 of which have been doing it for a while. But I think it might be higher than 9 now, but the last time I checked it was 9.
Would send out ballots to everyone.
Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot, guys. We got to go back here. My bad. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this.
They'll be able to see this clearly and stop it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So I want to congratulate Puerto Rico, and I think you're going to have a great period of time. I think you're going to see a rebuilding of Puerto Rico. Thank you very much.
So there you have it. The headlines really made toward the end there about the election.
Public safety concerns. In Pennsylvania, we had changed the law. The General Assembly, a bipartisan vote in the General Assembly and signed by the governor, changed the law so that you could vote earlier and vote in Pennsylvania without having to wait until Election Day. So,
if you are in Pennsylvania and you are voting absentee, send that in early, and don't send it in. Take it to a ballot box if there's one near you, because they are limiting the if you wait till the day of the election, it's got to get to the elections office within 3 days or it will not be counted, which is not enough time.
We were going to be under a different...
Did he adjust the mic? That's an excellent question. Producer Rich is the one asking. Let us find out. Oh, no, he can't. No, they don't use... No, sorry, Rich. This is at the White House press briefing room. They don't use that kind of mic. It's the short mic. So, no, he doesn't adjust the mics at the press room. Nobody does. They're the ones that are way down below. See what Casey's saying.
A big change in voting anyway, but I think it's bizarre the way the president continues to lie about this. Everyone knows that mail-in balloting works. It's been tried in a number of states for years, and it's ever more important now so that you can do 2 things at once: keep people safe and make sure everybody gets a chance to vote.
I think the critics, when you listen, states have done it. You're right. Oregon's been doing it for 20 years, but they have a system that's set up. And really, the criticism is not so much directed at the post office, but it's directed at the elections offices and whether or not they have the personnel and the manpower to handle all this.
Well, Bill, on that, I think Pennsylvania did a pretty good job in the primary the first time we ever had to do it with this volume. This will be a bigger volume in the fall. But look, one of the failures of the last couple of months in Congress was after 400 million for elections, which isn't that much in a big country. Democrats like me, I was not the leader of it, but I was helping other senators trying to get another 3.6 billion for elections. We haven't gotten that yet, but it would help enormously if states had more resources. But look, I think this is going to be an election where we can still get every vote counted and give everybody a chance to vote safely.
Senator, one more point here. You came on to talk about Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. He did a town hall last night on CNN. I want to go soundbite number 2, guys. This is when the issue of fracking came up. There are hundreds of thousands of jobs in the state of Pennsylvania.
Check it on Breitbart here. They are outside the Trump rally in Minnesota. There are people lined up to watch. The feed is not coming up. This might be old. No, it says live. Come on. Give me Periscope, Twitters. Let me refresh the page. So I hope they're doing interviews. The interviews are always great. Come on, there's 191 people watching this right now. No? Okay. Well, we'll let that spin, and we might be wrapping up now. Yay for Bemidji, says Colleen. yeah, there's going to be polling places, a lot more polling places than there was. I don't know why this is not coming up. It's possible they just stopped the live stream, so I'm not really sure. Let's go and see if there's anything that happened while we were doing that. Early voting begins in Minnesota, Virginia, South Dakota, and Wyoming. I didn't know about Wyoming. That's cool. Executing. What's the executing about? Okay, so this is the tweet that was making headlines. Okay, that's 1 hour. Trump says voting starts in Virginia today, and we are going to win. You have a crazy governor who wants to take away your guns, which he will do without me in office. He can't. He is in favor of executing babies after birth. This isn't late-term abortion. This is a step way beyond. Yes, it's murder. Vote for me. ... I'm playing for your guns, and I'm playing for your values. He's playing? For all the federal employees in Virginia, remember, it was me that got you the federal pay raises. Remember, he put a hold on federal pay raises. Not Sleepy Joe Biden. There were several pay raises under Obama. I will be having a big rally in Virginia. To be announced soon. Okay, so that's the big tweet. And Virginia is in play. And notifications, you guys aren't interested in that. Oh, hold on. There's the new video about Ivanka. So let's just watch that and we'll get out of here. Come on, Bob. Bob, if you're watching, do you want to be on the live stream? Let's get Bob in here. You know him from, he was on an episode of I'm Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Here it is. This is about Ivanka.
She's a mini Dono, but yet he's besotted with her.
Start it again.
Yeah, she's a mini Donald. She's a mini Dono, but yet he's besotted with her. He always has been. She's always been his favorite.
Ivanka Trump is so empty inside and achingly desperate for respect that she has her father repeatedly lie about her phony accomplishments.
My daughter Ivanka, she's now created 14 million jobs.
To put this lie in context, at the time, Trump said that his entire administration had created 5 million jobs. This is the factory in China where they make Ivanka's clothing line.
Ivanka is a very good client, but of course, I never imagined her father would become president.
The ties are made in where? China? Ties are made in China.
There are 50 states that comprise the United States, and Ivanka didn't make a single piece of her clothing line in one of them. Ivanka Trump is a fraud. Everything about her life is a lie. She learned how to deceive from the world's greatest liar. She is anti-woman.
I can guarantee my brothers were loving that. Are any of you up there single?
And anti-American. When she tried to step onto the world stage, foreign leaders ignored her as the incompetent embarrassment that she is.
And the same with the defense side of it. Yeah. In terms of the whole sort of business, it's been very male-dominated. So.
She claims to support maternity leave, but forced her employee, Marissa Velez-Kraxberger, to come back to work just 1 week after giving birth. She was fined $2 million for stealing from her own charity. She was ordered by the state of New York to attend classes to learn how not to steal from charities. Imagine being so corrupt that a judge actually orders you to take classes on how to not be corrupt.
So let's pump it up!
She parades her kids on social media while her father puts children in cages. She's not pro-America. She's not pro-woman. She's just pro-Ivanka.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop
You know
it.
what? You are sick.
I know, isn't it terrible?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel nauseous. I was going to grab some lunch. I don't know that I'm going to do that now. The only problem I have with that is that they did she's in front at the front of the television at the Miss Universe or Miss Happy Time or whatever the pageant was, and is like, some of them are single. Well, my brothers might be interested in because they're single, and yeah, that's people make that joke. It's not a problem. No one's saying, hey, my brothers would like to have sex with one of them. It's not. I don't think that demeans women. That because, I mean, I'm looking. I'm all about fantastic women, in or out of a beauty pageant. Doesn't. But overall, very, very good ad. I don't know why we're airing that right now. Not sure. Just someone just really doesn't like Ivanka. Okay. Nikki Haley said something. I don't care. That's about it, kids. That was a 3-hour broadcast, including the chat. So I've got some other things to do today. We may or may not, which mean the same thing, be covering the Trump rally later today in Bemidji or wherever he is. I can't read it off the teleprompter. That's what I says. So we'll see you later on today, or we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching the live stream. Thanks to, again, Chris Wilson for this fantastic logo that I can't make any bigger. There it is. Thanks again. Here are some new credits. Make sure you stick around to the very end to see your name. If your name is not in the credits and you'd like it to be, and it should be, let me know. If it's not in the credits and you'd like it to be, the way we're able to do this is because people like you out there who care, you're supporting this. And the way you support it is to go to PayPal or to Venmo or go to kevinleefather.com. And when you go to kevinleefather.com, you can become a patron, you can become a resistor, you can be a protester, you can become an executive producer, you can be whatever you want. Just go to Patreon. kevinleefather.com will get you there. We will be back the next time. As Kevin Lee Daughter said, we broadcast every single sometimes, and we will see you. Here come the credits. Be good to each other, wear your mask, and send something to Puerto Rico. That's what we're doing today, kids.
Kevin, thanks for that.